Pam Bondi, serving as Attorney General under President Donald Trump since early 2025, faced intense scrutiny during a House Judiciary Committee oversight hearing on February 11, 2026. This session focused on the Department of Justice's operations, including its handling of Jeffrey Epstein-related files and investigations into political figures. Bondi, a longtime Trump ally and former Florida Attorney General, defended her actions while clashing sharply with lawmakers. The hearing lasted over 5 hours, marked by heated exchanges, personal insults, and refusals to answer key questions. Democrats pressed her on potential conflicts of interest tied to Trump's past associations with Epstein, while most Republicans offered support. One notable exception was Republican Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky, who challenged her directly. The hearing occurred in the Rayburn House Office Building in Washington, D.C., starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It was part of routine congressional oversight of the Justice Department, but tensions escalated due to recent releases of Epstein documents and ongoing debates over DOJ independence. Epstein, a convicted sex offender who died in 2019, had connections to numerous high-profile individuals, including Trump. Files released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act have included emails, interviews, and memos, some referencing Trump's social interactions with Epstein in the 1990s and early 2000s. Trump has denied any wrongdoing, stating he severed ties with Epstein after learning of his behavior. Bondi began her testimony with an opening statement praising Trump's leadership and claiming the DOJ had made tremendous progress in addressing what she described as past weaponization against conservatives. She highlighted efforts to prosecute Trump's political opponents, such as former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, while dropping cases against his allies. Critics argue these moves indicate a loss of DOJ independence, turning it into a tool for retribution. Bondi countered by accusing previous administrations, including Joe Biden's, of mishandling the Epstein case for years. Democrats on the committee, led by figures like Representative Jerry Nadler from New York, zeroed in on the Epstein files. Nadler asked how many of Epstein's accomplices the DOJ had indicted under Bondi's watch. Instead of providing a number, reports indicate none. Bondi pivoted to economic achievements, noting the Dow Jones Industrial Average surpassing 50,000, the S&P 500 nearing 7,000, and the NASDAQ setting records. She demanded apologies from Democrats for attacking Trump, declaring, "You sit here and you attack the president. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it." This deflection drew sharp criticism for avoiding the question. Representative Pramila Jayapal from Washington pressed Bondi to apologize to Epstein survivors present in the hearing room. Several survivors attended, invited by Democrats to highlight the human impact of the case. Jayapal asked them to stand and raise hands in response to questions about DOJ's handling of the files. Bondi refused to apologize, instead criticizing past presidents and accusing Democrats of using the issue to distract from Trump's crime reduction efforts. She repeatedly claimed Trump was the most transparent president in the nation's history, and that her DOJ had released over 3 million documents. A list of 15 questions Bondi refused to answer was later compiled by the House Judiciary Democrats. These included whether she had knowledge of Trump attending parties with underage girls, if the DOJ owed reparations to Epstein's victims, especially as Trump pursued a $10 billion personal lawsuit against the federal government, and whether the president had lied about conspiracy theories, such as one involving the murder of Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman. Bondi often filibustered, resorted to ad hominem attacks, or sidestepped entirely. For instance, when asked about evidence of Trump's potential crimes, she insisted there was none, prompting Representative Ted Lieu from California to reference an unsubstantiated tip from the Epstein files and accuse her of lying under oath. Bondi's interactions grew personal. She called Representative Dan Goldman from New York a washed-up loser lawyer and mocked his role in Trump's 2016 impeachment efforts. To Massey, the sole Republican to probe deeply on the Epstein files, she said he had Trump derangement syndrome and labeled him a failed politician. Massey, who has pushed for full file releases and faced primary challenges from Trump allies, questioned why certain documents remained withheld, including FBI summaries of a 13-year-old's allegations involving Epstein introducing her to Trump for abuse. Bondi demurred, asking if Massey had apologized to Trump for his impeachment involvement. The hearing also touched on other controversies, such as the Dodge's role in fatal shootings of 2 protesters by federal officers in Minneapolis and failed indictments of 6 Democratic lawmakers. Bondi defended these actions as necessary for law and order, but Democrats argued they showed bias. Reports indicate Bondi arrived prepared with a burn binder of notes for insults, rolling her eyes at annoying questions and praising Trump at odd moments. Following the hearing, reactions were polarized. Democrats viewed Bondi's performance as evasive and helpful for midterm campaigns, with Representative Michael Cohen stating she appealed only to a one-person audience, Donald Trump. Republicans largely defended her, though Massey's challenge highlighted internal party fractures. Analysts noted the session as one of the most combative from a Trump cabinet official, underscoring concerns over DOJ politicization. Developments continued post-hearing. On March 4, 2026, the House Oversight Committee voted 24-19 to subpoena Bondi for further testimony on the Epstein investigation. This bipartisan vote, Republicans joined Democrats, included support from those frustrated with Dodge's file handling. The subpoena targets withheld documents, such as 53 pages of FBI interviews alleging Trump's involvement in abuse scenarios. This move rebuked the Trump administration, signaling broader congressional push for accountability. A Wall Street Journal article from January 12, 2026, revealed Trump had repeatedly complained about Bondi to aides submitted into the record during the hearing. This suggests internal tensions, possibly over her management of sensitive cases. The subpoena hearing on March 6 featured calls for no more lies, with survivors and advocates demanding full transparency. This episode highlights systemic issues in justice administration. Epstein's network exposed how wealth and connections can delay accountability. Survivors' presence reminded everyone of the human stakes, trauma from trafficking and abuse that demands thorough investigation, not deflection. The bipartisan subpoena vote shows even in a divided Congress, pressure for truth can cross party lines. As midterms approach, these hearings could influence public views on DOJ integrity and presidential oversight. Bondi's tenure, marked by firings of prosecutors involved in Trump probes and pursuits of his enemies, raises questions about impartiality. The Epstein files, with references to Russian links and blackmail, add layers of international intrigue. Poland's probe into potential Russian intelligence involvement in Epstein's operations underscores global implications. Ultimately, the hearing and subpoena emphasize the need for independent justice. Victims deserve answers, not excuses tied to economic boasts or personal attacks. Transparency builds trust, evasion erodes it. As investigations proceed, watch for more releases and potential testimonies, including calls for Trump himself to appear before committees. Please feel free to follow, subscribe, comment, like, and share. This helps you to stay connected to me, and it helps me to remain here creating more content for you. Thank you, love always, Maria D.C. Santiago.